Hey, live from Sao Paulo, Brazil. How are you guys doing? This is great. I like it. You see the swimming pool behind me, and I want to get you guys up on what's going on with me and what I'm doing, and just give an update on the procedures that next in line for me. How are you doing there, Dr. Robinson? Hey, long way long way from home today. But yeah, I just wanted to take a little time to go over the procedure. Now, what happened with me is let me tell little bit of my story for people that don't know anything about what I've gone through, what I'm going through, and give an update on that. I was diagnosed with biliary cancer in April of last year. Uh, Told me I had a tumor in March, and then did a needle biopsy, which made it official. And then in since then, I've been doing chemotherapy along with a therapeutic, and now we're down to the last. I believe and I'm hoping that this is going to be very good for me because it around and this really looks interesting, looks good. There's no chemo involved, so I love that part. And it's called Nano Knife. Now, when I heard Nano Knife, I thought, what in the world is Nano Knife? And then when I saw it explained on Google, and there's some YouTube videos as well, it looked pretty high tech to me. And matter of fact, when I had my interview with the physician that's going to be doing the Nano Knife procedure on February 3rd, which is less than a couple weeks away, so it's real quick coming up. One of my questions to him was, since this is kind of a new technology, the last 20 years or so, I mean, how many have you done? So I wanted to find out, because when they have new technology coming out, you don't want to be the guinea pig on that. So I made sure that he said he's done probably 50 of them, and take his word for it. I know the procedure at Moffitt Cancer Center, that's where I'm going to have mine done in Tampa, Florida. They have been doing it there for about 10 years, so they've got a lot of these procedures under their care. So what it is, and the reason it's called Nano Knife is because the way I understand it is they put these, I think they're made out of tungsten. They're like, very hard and very conductive metal. These pins or needles that go down inside me through the, close to where the cancer is. Mine's in the bile duct. Actually, we found from the latest PET scan, it's no longer on the bile duct. Thank you. It is now, there's like a piece, he said, that's less than a half an inch big. So this thing's teeny, but it's on my liver. You don't want cancer on your liver. There's none inside the liver, none inside the gallbladder, none anywhere else in my body. My last PET scan was like a complete scan. So, which, I didn't want the glucose in me, but I did want to see the pictures and wanted to know, what we're getting into there. So I said, yeah, let's do this. So he called and we did a Zoom, and I could see on the Zoom this little piece of cancer that was still there, and just lighting it up over here on YouTube. And yeah, it's small enough that they can use this procedure. So after the PET scan, with my oncologist, Dr. Kim, up there in Moffitt Cancer Center in Tampa, he says, we're going to take the output from the PET scan, and what we're going to do is go to what we call our tumor board here at the Moffitt Cancer Center in Tampa, and they are going to make a suggestion to you what you should do. So the suggestion was this Nano Knife. Now, the way it works, like I said before, is you have these probes that go down around, very close to the cancer cell, on either side. And what we're doing, what they're trying to do, or what they're going to do, uh, is like flow electricity from one electrode to the other, going right through the center of this little piece of cancer. And what that does, oh, Bella, what that does is it puts nano-size punctures in the cell wall of the cancer. Now, if you've studied cancer before, cancer is a cell that kind of tricks. I mean, it's very mischievous. Sometimes people call it smart, other people call it dumb. But I know that it has enough intelligence to like mutate into whatever area that it is, and it will do, it'll do what it can to survive. So what it does is it tricks the body into saying, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm a good cell. Leave me alone. So T cells, these are the cells that normally would attack anything that looks kind of foreign in the body. And also during autophagy or apoptosis, which means, the cleaning up of the bad looking cells in our body, which is a miraculous thing that happens in our body, is that when we give the body enough time to do it, in other words, stop eating, go on a mini fast or something, and allow the body to stop digesting food and start taking care of these cells that needs to be repairing or getting rid of, it will do that. However, even though the cancer cell has a damaged mitochondria, that means a damaged outer layer of the cell, the thing that holds it together, it is damaged and mutated and looks, imagine like a monster type looking cell, right? It's not a normal, nice cell. Then, even with that, it still tricks the body into saying, I'm okay. But they found that when they do the Nano Knife technology, like they are putting enough little teeny bitty holes in the, hey Martina, in the cell, then the body sees that, our T cells see that, and they go, hey, here's a damaged cell. We need to get rid of this thing and, get it out of the body. So when this happens, the cell dies pretty quickly, and then the body can take this and then, get rid of it, get it out of the body. So you have dead cancer cells gotten rid of. Now, as far as getting rid of cancer, this procedure that has been done for many, many times over the last 15 years or so, has proven to be very spectacular in the results. In other words, it gets rid of the cancer. And the more I study cancer, the more fascinating it is to me. Even though we can like rid the body of this, the body still has something in there that there is a chance that the same type of cancer could return. And the way it does that is it just starts implanting in the same place. Now, normally it would do that. The only way it would do that is if we give it the same environment to grow in. And that's why I am so gung-ho on this therapeutic ketogenic diet. I've had some backlash from it, which is normal because people that haven't been through what I've been through or haven't been through maybe what you've been through, just don't believe it. It just sounds too good to be true that a diet could change your body so much. But just think, we take for headaches and aches and pains in our body, we take these tiny little pills called aspirins or ibuprofen or, Tylenol, that kind of thing. And it changes our body. I mean, we can feel the change in our body just from something that small. So imagine your diet, you change your diet and give your body more of what it needs to function and to be better, then you'll find that your body can function better. Your body can make repairs. Your body can ward off a new instance of cancer. That doesn't mean that it may not come back to me. Matter of fact, the doctor made it very clear to me when we did the Zoom call the other day, preparing me for this procedure. He said that there's a 20% chance that this thing could come back. I mean, that's the numbers. I just want to put it out there. And that's a chance. That's a pretty good chance. I mean, what other stuff that I'm doing right now, other than my fasting and my ketogenic diet, of course, the chemotherapy that I've done, even chemo doesn't give you those kind of numbers. So this looked really good. To me, the most interesting part about it was that there's no chemicals involved and that the recovery time is quick because we're not like opening the body. It's small, teeny bitty needle incisions that go in. So I'm okay with that. As long as I told him, I said, I want to make sure that I'm like totally under anesthesia. I don't want to know what's going on. You guys do your thing. I want to wake up in recovery and just like, okay, they're done. We're done. We've smashed the cancer. And of course, we've got to do another PET scan after this. The thing about PET scans and also CT scans, if you do any kind of research on it, hi Kika, is that there is an awful heavy load of radiation that the body endures doing a PET scan. PET scan much more than a CAT scan. And then X-ray, we try to, why do the technicians put lead and, stay away from the X-ray machine? Because it has the potential, it's carcinogenic, right? It's something that can cause cancer. So a PET scan can cause cancer. A CAT scan can cause cancer. These scans, X-ray machines can cause cancer. That's why I'm not a real big fan of radiation therapy, because I've seen so many times when people get radiation that if it has a chance of causing cancer, it will. And normally it's the kind that spreads all over the body. So my good news is that the high success rate with Nanoknife uses no X-rays except for the PET scan at the end. And it does use a live CAT scan. So they're going to, they have to see what they're doing as they're doing this procedure in you. But then that's it. You don't get put on chemotherapy after that. And the recovery time, like I said, is really good. And then potentially at the end of it, cancer free, right? Those are the words I want to hear. So that's coming up February 3rd. It's really involved procedure. Matter of fact, they told me that I have to, on the 27th of January, I have to make sure that I take no things that like blood thinners. This would be like omega 3s. What else? Vitamin E is a good blood thinner. Ibuprofen, things like that. So I can't take those. I'll have to get off those for a while before they do the operation, the procedure. And then also I have to do like a PCR test, a COVID test, before I go into the hospital there at Moffitt Cancer Center. So I'm ready for that. Here's a question from Ansley Rose. She's saying here, do you use glutathione? Glutathione. I probably don't, because it has the word gluta in there, which usually means sugar. I don't take that one. I could do some research on it. The reason I don't take NAC is because there were two different studies that I stumbled upon. I was taking it because there are studies that say that it decreases tumor growth. But there were two mice that said that it helped accelerate tumor growth. So it will help your body flush those toxins from the scans and the anesthesia. Yeah. But the thing is, once you get the scan, the damage is done. It's done and like immediately mutates the cells. If you're going to get there. No sugar and gluten. Okay. All right. Sounds good. That sounds like something for me to investigate. I'll get my team on that. Actually, I want to tell you guys, I have two research guys and then myself as well that do research. I threw this Nanoknife to one of them in Dallas, and he came back and says, man, it looks really good. So I like hearing that. And I, for my own research on it, looked and sounded really good too. So I'm all for it. So yeah, I want to talk a little bit about the ketogenic diet, the clinical ketogenic diet, because a lot of people, some of my coworkers, ask me, well, is like just like a normal keto diet where we lose weight and maybe just get a better overall fitness, for the body, get it more in metabolic shape. And the answer to that is not really. It's more of a therapeutic ketogenic diet, which would mean more fats per the protein that you ingest, and then lower caloric intake. In other words, you don't eat as much. Um, I don't know if you guys remember the mice studies that they did like years ago, and they still do them today. I know that they do on what they do is they'll take mice in one group and then mice in another group, and they'll give them all cancer. They inject the stuff in them, and they grow these horrible cancer blobs on the mice. One set of mice, they restrict their diet just really down to low, just barely enough to survive on. And the other ones, they let them eat anything they want to. And the miraculous thing that they see every single time is that the guys that are, eating out the wazoo, just like eating like gluttons, because mice will do that. They'll just eat until they blow up almost. They died quickly of the cancer. The other ones, it seemed to have an effect on the cancer that it would starve the cancer out as well. So that's very interesting to me. And we found in human studies as well that when you reduce the calorie intake, how much food you're eating, no matter what food it is, you do better with cancer. You see a reduction in tumors and also a better feeling and lifestyle. The body actually, is able to repair better when there's less. I always say this too, is when there's less of the body to less stuff for the body to do, like digest food, is just one of the biggest things. People that eat very late at night, I see this as a big problem because when you eat late at night, your body throughout the night, that's the time that it repairs itself, that it has a chance to like put things in order. And if you are like feeding it late at night, your body, I mean, what it's going to do is like digest that food. It has to get rid of that stuff. It can't just sit in your stomach, all night. So it gets rid of the food by digesting it. So all of that energy that would normally be used to help you with different things, like repairs and that kind of thing, and growth, and help fighting tumors and that kind of stuff in your body, is then directed toward digesting food. So if you give your body what it needs and then the time it needs to do the work, miracles happen. So what foods work on a clinical ketogenic diet? I've been asked this a million times, and I have planned now. I think what I'm going to do is on Fridays, not sure on YouTube, but on Instagram, I I think what I'm going to try to do is Friday at noon is to do a live cooking show showing you the therapeutic ketogenic diet. It's so cool to actually see somebody put together something. Now, I want to tell you up front, I am not a cook, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nutritionist, but I know how to do these things that gets me to where I'm at now and do the research on. So we can follow a recipe, right? There's a ton of recipes on a website for the therapeutic ketogenic diet. The website's called charliefoundation.org. And when you go into the recipes, there's a handful of them there on a 4-to-1, or that means 4 fats to 1 protein ketogenic diet. And there's really cool stuff. Matter of fact, one of the first recipes on there are waffles. And who doesn't like waffles? So maybe we'll be doing the waffles, because these waffles are like super low carbs, super low sugar, and taste good, and they got lots of the fats that we need. Okay. But what I do for breakfast, maybe a typical breakfast for me would be bacon and eggs. Um, what I'll typically do is I'll have enough fat in the diet there to meet my macro, and then my fat macro. And then for the protein macro, bacon's part of that. And also you have the proteins that you get in eggs. What I do for me, I used to do the 1 meal a day thing, and I stopped doing that on the advice of my research guy up in Tampa, Dr. Dominic D'Agostino, made the remark, Dave, maybe you should split it so your body has a chance to um, assimilate the proteins into your muscle, especially if you have cancer. It's very critical that you don't lose any muscle mass instead of like trying to do it all at once. So then your liver and everything's like working at full blast. So if you eat a smaller meal twice a day, same thing, only you break it up. And that's what I'm doing now. So it really works out well for me. And, you can get all your macros met. Um, I mean, you have, if you write your stuff down, like what you're eating, what you're drinking, you can see where you're at. If you have like a cup of coffee and you have the ability to put like heavy whipping cream in it, or which has absolutely zero sugar and zero carbs, but it has tons of fat in there. And you can use MCT oil if you want to. Some people use coconut oil. And these are oils that have 14 grams of fat per teaspoon, per tablespoon rather. So if you put two of those in there, you got 28 grams of fat right there, right? And if your fat macro is like 200 and something per day, along with the bacon fat, along with the fat that comes with eggs and like any other thing that you want to put in there. Sometimes I'll put like a bunch of butter in there too. Like butter is also right around 14 grams per tablespoon, So you have these oils that you can use that are super good for the body, and they don't taste bad either. I mean, when I first looked at it, when I started doing the diet back in March of last year, I looked at that bowl of food and I go, man, that is a ton of oil and a ton of fat in there. And I actually ate it with a spoon. But as soon as I started doing that, I noticed my body loved it. And I'm not lying to you. Your body will actually like this type of food. Become fuller faster, satiated. So I want you to try that if you want to. My window for eating food would start like when I get up at 6:30 in the morning, and it runs to about 3 in the afternoon, right? So at 3 in the afternoon, I'm going to stop. And the reason I stop at 3 in the afternoon, this came on the suggestion of my nutritionist down in Sydney, Australia. Uh, he said that, what I want you to do, and I started to notice a big difference, big improvement in my overall well-being, is that if you stop at 3 p.m. and you plan on going to bed like at 9-ish, 10 o'clock at night, 3:30 if you're stopping, that's 6 hours for your food to completely digest and your food to completely leave the small intestine. Then, if you do go to bed at nighttime, you are ready to do the repair, ready to do that kind of thing. And your body also has, see my little light here? It's coming out, which is good. Chemo did this, but it's coming back, guys. I did my last chemotherapy session on December 29th. So, yay! I'm happy now that you can see. I don't know if I think I'm going to let this go for the month of February. What do you think? See where it goes, But what happens is you do not have any insulin spike at nighttime if there's no food in your stomach, right? So your body isn't going to go into this digestive cycle if you, Maker says, yeah. If this digestive cycle, you don't want that to happen at nighttime, because then again, as I said, you're going to have all this energy going to digesting food. That's why fasting works so well too. Your body's not sitting there processing all this food. It's working on the body stuff, and magical stuff happens. You regain so much stuff with a good fast. You like reset your immune system, which is super important. You start setting stem cells to rejuvenate, to get in motion there. You have autophagy happen, which is the beginning of the cleanup of the crappy dead cells that are floating around your body that really need to get out of there. And then, some growths like cancer, which like all, is just voracious as far as its diet, And when you're not feeding it, it just like goes nuts and it starts starving itself out. Whereas your other cells, if you study this in a fast, will actually go into a protective state. They're waiting. Okay, we're going to wait for the next time the body eats. And we're just going to wait. Cancer cells don't go into a protective state. They get stressed, but they get stressed in a way that they die out. Your other cells do get stressed. They go into a protective stress, right? And that comes all the way back from our caveman days when we got to eat like a whole bunch, and then we'd go days without eating. And those days without eating was fasting. We didn't get weaker. We didn't like start using the muscle in our body as a source of food. None of that happened. What the body does is start using fat. We have enough fat stored on the normal, typical human body to last you 40 days without eating, right? At the end of day 40, you probably need to go to the hospital or something, but you can go a long time without eating anything. The body has enough stored stuff. And as soon as you get into like day 2.5, day 3 of a fast, your body becomes fat adapted and you start burning these fats. So, and that's what you want to happen. And that's a good fast. I mean, you're getting tons of stuff done. Day 2.5, day 3, you don't have those cravings anymore. Those go away. And guess what happens too? If you go in a little past day 3 or day 3, if you go past, well, good for you. You won't feel hungry in the day 3 or 4. Your body's already into that settled state. But I tell you what will happen. If you have these cravings for sugar and for carbs, and you find yourself, like snacking all the time, like endlessly, what is crazy good about the fast is that it'll actually reset that. And at the end of the fast, when you start getting back on normal food slowly, I would suggest doing like a soup, not anything heavy where your body has to go, whoa, don't do this, it's too much for me. I just want to slowly get back into the scheme of things. You will find that your body does miraculous things. It resets itself as far as those sugar cravings and those carb cravings that you had before. And we're wired for the sugar thing. We eat these things and we get like this dopamine kick out of it, and that's what the body does. I mean, that's the way we're wired. So when you ingest carbs or sugar, one turns into the other. When you do that, your body gets the dopamine hit. You're going to do it again. You're going to relapse, have that come right back again, and that's why it's so hard to get off the addiction of sugar and stuff, because we're wired to like it. Because we get that high from, just like you do on drugs, like cocaine or something like that. So. Here's a question from Maker. Since your chemo is finished, will you still do the 72-hour fast, or what fasting protocol will you do? Hey, guess what? I am going to do the 72-hour fast. I'm going to do a long fast, probably a 4 or 5 day fast before this procedure. I know that sounds a little crazy, but I feel strong enough to do that going into it. What I want to do is make sure that cancer dot that's still on my liver is just totally going nuts, crazy, and then we're going to zap it and send it out of its misery there. But, that's going to do a lot of great things for my body as well. And the one thing I do during my fast is, Maker, you probably know, because you've maybe joined me on a fast before, and I do the 72-hour fast before my chemo, is that I weigh my like twice a day. I have this scale that is hooked into the Fitbit Wi-Fi thing, and it sends it to Fitbit, and that sends it to my tracker, which I use. I use Chronometer, which pairs with Apple and Fitbit, BioSense, with a bunch of time, with a bunch of things. So, I want to make sure that I'm not losing weight. That was real important to me, to my mom. She said, "You're going to wither away and blow away in the wind." And to Dominic up in Tampa, he mentioned also. He says, make sure on these fasts that you're making sure your weight isn't dropping quickly. You don't want that to happen. And if you do, get off the fast. Now let me put put this out there too, because like I said, I'm no doctor. I'm not a nutritionist. That's why I got all these people, because I knew that I didn't know these things. I knew that I'd have to go to these people to find out how this works. So when I do a fast, I had my first couple of fasts, I had a fasting coach, which was also from down under. We met, like 2 hours a day, and we would do What's Up Live. It was just him and me. I mean, it was just one-on-one. And it was like, not live, but what do you call it? The video. And it was really good. And those things don't come like really cheap, but they're so beneficial. And I urge you, if you're going to do like a fast that's more than a day or so, is to make sure that you check with your doctor to make sure that's okay. I'm saying that you can do what you want to do. It's your body and your life. And do some research on it. Make sure you don't do something that, you will get to the end of day 2 and just like die. We don't want that to happen. But millions of people do fasts, and but I do want to say that, if you should check with your physician. As my oncologist in Tampa, Dr. Kim, knows I do the fast. He's with me. He follows the fasting part of it. He also does, he follows my ketogenic diet. It's strange, this guy, who is a researcher in cancer up at Moffitt, is all for this kind of stuff. It's hard to get people to follow this, but and I do have like this negative feedback on some of the social platforms where people are saying, that doesn't work, it won't work, you're wasting your time, you're leading people in the wrong direction. Well, it's free. You don't have to spend any money on a fast, and you can find out really quickly if it's going to work for you or not. Let's see, did I mention, I want to speak something about the discipline required to do what I've done. It's not easy. Back in March when I was diagnosed with this, or when I was diagnosed with a tumor and then later diagnosed with, hey, you got cancer in April. I made the decision back then. I thought, I'm going to try this because the research behind it looks really good. And a lot of people look like they've been helped by this. And it's something I can do. You guys know I did it like in synergy with that. To me, it was like life or death. I said, okay, you're going to do this and stay alive, or you're going to die. And I didn't want to die, so I thought that was my choice. I had to do this ketogenic diet. When I started, I was like really gung-ho for like first 2 weeks. This is great. I went and found different foods. I was really happy. The brie at Costco was like, perfect. It had like 4 grams of protein to like 12 grams of fat. The ratio was just incredibly good. So I did that. And, then at the end of week 2 or so, I started noticing, what? I miss some of these foods that I used to eat. How come I can't have what they're eating over there on that table? And then it was more of a mind game where I really had to get that part in my mind set. And that's part of my protocol is mindset. And you really, really, really have to be disciplined to follow through this, because you do it by yourself and there's going to be tons of temptation, just tons. You'll make so many excuses to yourself, just like you do with any other kind of addiction. You'll say, I'll start tomorrow, in earnest. But right now I want to eat this high carb or this piece of cake or this whatever. You'll make an excuse, you're going to start another day. And then you just keep doing that, over and over again. And you never get anywhere, right? You never get down into ketosis where you need to be. So that's one of the reasons I do coaching or mentoring, is not because I'm some highfalutin nutritionist or doctor or anything like that. But I've been there, I've been through it. And a lot of people do need, I don't want to call it hand holding, because that makes you sound like, a kid that doesn't know how to get from point A to point B. I know you can do this, but it's more of the encouragement. I'm there for you every day. We do live Zoom calls, and I also follow along with in the Chronometer app. And when you ask, how come I'm doing this, I'm still not in ketosis, generally we can take a look at what you've eaten and that kind of stuff and just say, that's why. All right. So if you're interested in that, that's on my website, naples.academy. All right. I didn't bring it with me, but I want to tell you about one of my supplements that I'm taking. I always bring this one up because I think it's the one that's changed my life the most. Before I wrap up here, it's melatonin. And I know it sounds crazy because melatonin is used mostly as a sleep aid, but in a therapeutic level where you take, like, I take up to like 2 grams a day, which is a lot. I put it like underneath my tongue, a scoop of it, just a teeny bitty scoop. You have to kind of work up to it. But it is not only for cancer, but if you do the research on it, I mean, it's into everything like PCOS, and people with diabetes and people with metabolic disorders. Kind of puts the body in balance, which is called homeostasis, and that's really what we want. So do some research on it, melatonin. If you do have a cancer issue, do melatonin and cancer, and then look at the scientific studies, the case studies that have been done. Um, and yeah, I want to tell you about a free group Zoom that I'm going to have this Thursday at 8 p.m. New York time. I will put the link when we get done here on Instagram. It'll be in my bio up there, and then on YouTube I'm going to just put it in the description because links work there. And for the sign up for the Zoom, if you want to do a discussion, like a question and answer, more about the diet, or more about questions about cancer, or what research is being done right now, love to talk to you. We'll have a lot of fun. I got room for, like, I don't know, maybe 100 people on that thing. So, even if it's just you and me, we'll have a lot of fun and talk about this. So, great. That's it for this Sunday. Hope you guys are having a great Sunday. I am going to go get some sleep because I do work tonight back to Miami. And this is like a really short layover for me, and I'm doing another one tomorrow. So I'm getting these 2 out of the way. Then I have a few days off, which is the Thursday where we're going to do the Zoom call. And then after that, I got a longer layover on a long trip. So yeah, and then February looks really nice. We got a lot of things planned for February. So I hope you join me then. Thanks for your support. You guys are just the best. I mean, just love all the support that you give, all the love, the attention that you put toward the channel, and telling other people about it. I really appreciate that. I really do, from the bottom of my heart. I want to let you know that your support is greatly appreciated. So hoping you have a great rest of your day. It's beautiful here. Take care, and we'll catch you on the next video. Take care.